I saved my sister's birthday party. She called me jealous and tried to brand my face. Now I'm her court-ordered caretaker. My older sister used to pinch me till I bled. I once used her hairbrush without her permission, and she pinched my arms so hard that I arrived to basketball tryouts looking like I'd been assaulted by a wild beast. What's her reasoning? I got my filthy guy germs on her things. And when I was 14 I became tired of it. It all began when I mistakenly left the restroom door unlocked. She barged in when I was showering and began pinching my back till I screamed. But I was prepared. I grabbed her wrist and squeezed it back. But my tiny act of vengeance didn't feel as satisfying as I had hoped. In fact, it made me feel worse. So much so that I began crying for being such a bad brother and allowed her to pinch me 10 times harder. And don't get me wrong, I loved my folks. But I know they saw my bruises and nail marks. I know they could hear me crying in my room after her attacks, but they never intervened since, in their opinion, she was the social butterfly who kept our family's reputation clean. Plus, when we were at school, she nailed the protecting older sister role. She would take my hand as we walked through the halls. She would present me as her favorite younger brother to all of her friends. It was horrible. However, one positive outcome was increased pain tolerance. You see, I put all my pain into athletics. So, by the age of 16, I was not only the varsity basketball captain, but I could also take hits that would knock other kids out. She was a senior, a grade above me, and I was constantly hearing about the drama in her buddy group. She had ceased pinching me as much by this point, owing to my increased size, and all I wanted was a nice relationship with her. So, when her entire buddy group skipped her 18th birthday celebration to attend Brianna's, I realized I had to help. Brianna and my sister had been arguing over a guy named David. My sister spent the entire morning crying because no one would attend her party. I spent all day correcting it. I contacted everyone I knew, including basketball players, students from other schools, and several college freshmen. I told them about free alcohol and fantastic music. By 8 p.m. I had approximately 40 people arrive. The party was great. She grabbed me aside halfway through, happy tears in her eyes, and told me I was the finest brother in the world. We even took shots together. She continued assuring everyone that I had rescued her birthday. For the first time in my life, I felt as if we were real siblings. Or so I thought. Because, as it turned out, David was Brianna's cousin, and he arrived drunk as hell with his new girlfriend at 11 p.m. He started ranting about how my sister was so desperate that she had to have her loser brother beg people to come, how she paid random freshmen to pretend to like her. The party dispersed in 20 minutes. She did not speak to me for 2 days. Then, when our parents were at their anniversary dinner, I heard a tap on my bedroom door. That was her. "Can we talk?" she asked politely. I opened up and she instantly threw me against the wall. "You knew David was Brianna's cousin. You invited him to humiliate me. You've always been jealous that I'm your favorite." She was clutching her hair straightener, which was still hot from fixing her hair. Before I could grasp what was going on, she swung it at my face. "You ruined my life." I ducked instinctively. There was a sizzling sound followed by the most terrifying scream I'd ever heard. When she missed me, she placed the straightener against her own neck. Red blisters were already developing. She dashed to the restroom and I could hear her sobbing. I dialed 911 right away, my hands shaking. She ended up needing skin grafts. The burn was 3rd degree. When my parents arrived at the hospital and inquired what happened, I simply responded, "Check her phone." Years of texting her pals to gloat about making me weep. She referred to me as her practice dummy for real-life difficulties. She uploaded photos of my bruises to group conversations along with laughing emojis. My dad's face turned ghostly white. My mother started crying. They separated us in the hospital. A nurse led me to a different room while they worked on my sister's neck. I sat there for 3 hours answering the same questions repeatedly. The police arrived about 2 a.m. 2 officers, both appearing weary. They asked me to guide them through everything that had happened. I showed them the texts from my phone, years of texts between my sister and her friends. I'd been saving screenshots since I was 12 to explain why I had so many bruises. The female officer's jaw tightened as she read through them. She continued scrolling, her face becoming darker with each message. My parents arrived at the police station at about 4 a.m. Mom's mascara ran down her face. Dad continued raking his hands through his hair, causing it to stick up in unexpected directions. They would not look at me. Evelyn was the name of the investigator assigned to our case. She had kind eyes but posed difficult questions. She wanted to know about every instance I could recall, every pinch, bruise, every time my parents observed what happened but did nothing. I told her about the basketball tryouts, the shower incident, and how my sister used to smile at school assemblies while sinking her nails into my arm beneath the table. Evelyn jotted everything down in a little notepad. The following morning, Child Protective Services became engaged. Jordan, a social worker, came to interview us at home. He was younger than I imagined, possibly in his late 20s, and spoke with a soothing tone that made me want to tell him everything. My sister returned home after 2 days in the hospital. Her neck was wrapped in white gauze. She was unable to turn her head without suffering. The doctors indicated she'd require numerous procedures and her scars would be permanent. She has moved into our guest room. Mom took time off work to assist her with the bandage changes. I could hear them speaking softly through the walls. My sister would occasionally cry, real, terrible sobbing, as opposed to the artificial tears she used to manipulate people. Jordan came twice a week. He talked to each of us individually, then as a family. The court ordered that my parents attend mandatory counseling sessions. They went on Tuesdays and Thursdays, returning home with red eyes and tight lips. School was odd. Word spread about what happened, albeit the specifics were unclear. Some kids assumed I had attacked my sister, while others believed she had injured herself. Brianna approached me in the corridor one day, clearly uncomfortable. "David feels bad about what he said at the party," she whispered. "He was hammered. He didn't mean to start all that." I just nodded. What else could I say? His drunken diatribe caused the worst night of my life. That a dumb birthday party left my sister permanently scarred? Basketball practice became my escape. Coach Dempsey approached me after the first practice back and asked if I wanted time off. I informed him that I needed to play more than ever. He understood and let me stay late, shooting free throws until the janitor booted us out. My sister began physical rehabilitation 3 weeks following the incident. The burn had injured some nerves. She had problems rotating her neck in some positions. Our parents were at work, so I drove her to her appointments. We'd sit in silence during the 20-minute drive. One day she spoke up. "I know you hate me." I grabbed the steering wheel more tightly. "I don't hate you. You should." Her tone was bland. "I've been horrible to you." I wasn't sure what to say. Part of me wanted to agree and enumerate all the bad things she had done. But seeing her struggle to turn her head and wheeze when the physical therapist stretched her neck put an end to that impulse. Evelyn convened a family gathering 6 weeks after the incident. She called in another social worker, an elderly woman named Ramirez, who specializes in family trauma. They sat us down in our living room. "We need to discuss long-term plans," Evelyn stated. "The criminal investigation is ongoing, but we need to focus on healing as a family." My sister had to take court-ordered anger management lessons, similar to our parents' treatment. She attended every Monday evening. I'd occasionally find her workbook on the kitchen counter with pages of exercises on identifying triggers and managing emotions. The probe revealed more than anyone anticipated. Evelyn had interviewed my sister's acquaintances. Several people stated they were uncomfortable with the way she treated me. One girl, Leah, had even saved screenshots of particularly harsh text that she intended to show someone but never did. My parents had to confront terrible truths. The social workers did not sugarcoat anything. They had failed to safeguard me. They had enabled my sister's actions. During one session, Dad burst into tears, revealing that he had always sensed something was wrong but refused to believe his daughter could be abusive. 3 months have gone by. My sister's bandages slipped off, revealing ugly red scars on her neck. She began wearing turtlenecks and scarves, even in warm weather. Her pals began to visit less frequently. People murmured in the halls about the popular girl who had previously ruled the school. We ate dinner together every night as part of another court order, supervised family time. Jordan or Ramirez would occasionally join us and observe our interactions. The interactions were stilted and guarded. We discussed safe topics such as weather, sports, and television shows. My sister lost her fork one evening while eating dinner. The clatter caused everyone to jump. She bent to pick it up but halted halfway down, her hand reaching for her neck. The scar tissue did not extend like normal skin. I stood up to assist but she waved me away. "I've got it." Her voice sounded strained. She was able to catch the fork, but as she straightened up, tears streamed down her face. Mom reached for her but my sister backed away. "Don't. Just don't." She left the table, leaving her food undisturbed. We heard the bedroom door crash. Jordan put a note in his folder. He was always holding the folder during our dinners. Never spoke much but observed and took notes. The next morning at 5 a.m. I found my sister in the kitchen. She was attempting to make coffee but couldn't turn her head back far enough to check if she had filled the pot correctly. Water was everywhere. "Let me help," I said. She moved aside without arguing. That's when I spotted the bruises on her arms. New ones, purple and yellow markings that resembled fingerprints. What happened to your arms? She rolled her sleeves down. Nothing. I just bruise easily now. The medication makes my skin sensitive. But I recognized the marks. I'd worn them enough to recognize what they looked like. Somebody had seized her hard. At school that day, I noticed her ex-best friend, Lexi, encircling her near the lockers. Lexi was making angry gestures and getting in my sister's face. My sister just stood there and took it. The girl who formerly ruled the hallways with an iron grip could no longer defend herself. I walked over. Everything okay here? Lexi turned against me. Oh look, the victim's here to save his psycho sister. How sweet. We're leaving, I announced, leading my sister away. She broke down in her car after school. They all hate me. Every single person at school thinks I'm a monster. Lexi grabbed me yesterday, said I deserved worse than some scars. Said she wished the straightener had hit my face instead. I wasn't sure how to answer. Part of me understood why they were angry. My sister had injured many people over the years, including me. But seeing her so broken and terrified made my chest tighten. Evelyn planned an emergency session that week. She had received reports from the school regarding rising harassment. My sister sat crouched in her chair, appearing smaller than I had ever seen her. We need to discuss alternative schooling options, Evelyn told me. The current environment isn't conducive to healing. My parents exchanged looks. Mom talked first. We can't afford private school. There are online programs, Evelyn added. Or we could look into transferring to Westfield High across town. My sister shook her head. I have 3 months left. I can handle it. But she couldn't. The following week, someone spray-painted abuser on her locker. The janitor attempted to clean it, but the letters remained visible. She began having lunch at the nurse's office. I attempted to help by walking her to classes when our schedules coincided and sitting with her at lunch when the nurse was not available. My basketball teammates did not comprehend. Why are you protecting her? Mason inquired during practice. After everything she did to you? I missed a free shot. She's still my sister. She's getting what she deserves, another teammate commented. Coach Dempsey overheard and had the entire team commit suicides. We don't kick people when they're down, he told me. That's not what this team is about. But the devastation was spreading. Our parents began fighting more. I'd hear them in their bedroom at night, their voices rising. Mom accuses Dad of ignoring the indications. Dad blames Mom for babysitting my sister. Both blame themselves. One night, I heard a smash in their chamber. I discovered Dad asleep on the couch the next morning. He has been there ever since. Jordan extended his visits to 3 per week. The court was actively monitoring our family. There was talk about extending the supervisory term. My sister's physical therapy was also not going well. The therapist said that she was forming compensatory movement patterns that could lead to long-term issues. She needed to work out at home, but she had given up. I started going to her room after dinner and making her stretch. She resisted at first, but soon gave in. We'd sit on her floor, me counting repetitions while she dealt with the pain. Remember when we used to play board games? She inquired one night during stretches. Before I got mean. I remembered. We had been close when we were younger, before middle school altered everything, and she believed I was an embarrassment. What happened? I inquired. When did you start hating me? She was silent for a long time. I never hated you. I hated that you were better than me. Nicer, more genuine. People actually liked you for you. They only liked me because I made them afraid not to. The admission hung between us. I assisted her with the final stretch, watching her face contort in misery as the scar tissue tugged. Everything came crashing down just 2 weeks before graduation. My sister had been doing better by keeping her head down and simply trying to get through. Someone then shared the screenshots online, all of the communication she had sent about me over the years, photos of my bruises, everything. The post went viral throughout our school community. Parents began calling for her expulsion. The principal had to convene an emergency meeting about cyberbullying. It did not matter. The damage was done. My sister did not come home that night. My parents contacted the cops at midnight. I drove about looking for her, examining all the areas I imagined she might go. The park where we used to play as kids, the beach where our family picnicked. I found her automobile on the old railroad bridge outside of town. She sat on the hood, her legs dangling over the edge. The drop was not lethal, but it was painful. We were both aware that we were hurting. Don't, I murmured, gently approaching. I wasn't going to jump, she explained. I just needed to think. I sat near her. We stayed there for an hour without talking, simply existing in the gap between what was and what could have been. I'm sorry, she finally admitted. For everything. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I need you to know that I'm sorry. I know, I replied. So I did. The apology did not heal the physical or mental scars, but it was a start. We drove home individually. Our parents were waiting, along with two policemen. There were processes for missing people, including those who returned, more reports, additional documentation. Evelyn arranged for my sister to finish school at home. The principal agreed that it was best for all. She'd obtain her diploma, but she wouldn't walk at graduation, another result of that night with the straightener. The house felt different from her home throughout the day. Despite her presence, things were quieter. She spent the majority of her time in her room, working on projects and attending virtual anger management sessions. I'd check on her between my own classes and basketball practice. I'd occasionally find her practicing her physical therapy exercises without urging. Sometimes she'd stare at her reflection, fingers tracing the scars on her neck. Our parents' marriage was dangling by a thread. They'd begun couples counseling on top of everything else. Dad continued to sleep on the couch on occasion. Mom had quit making lavish dinners, so we relied on takeout and prepackaged food. Jordan drew me aside during one of our visits. How are you handling all this? I'm fine, I said automatically. It's okay if you're not, he said. You've been through significant trauma. Your feelings matter too. But I had no idea how to describe the shame that was sitting in my gut like a stone. If I hadn't dodged that night, none of this would have occurred. My sister would graduate normally. My parents would still be pleased. Our family would not be under continual observation. The rational part of me understood it wasn't my fault. She swung a hot straightener at my face and I ducked instinctively. But rationality did not alleviate the guilt. We qualified for regionals at the end of the basketball season. I played my worst game. Couldn't concentrate. While everyone else was celebrating, I remained at home alone, thinking about my sister. We lost by 12 points. After the game, Coach Dempsey found me in the locker room. You've got a lot on your shoulders, he told me. But you can't carry everyone else's burden. Sometimes people have to face their own consequences. He was correct. However, it did not make watching my sister suffer any easier. The girl who had plagued me for years was now someone I was constantly worried about. The irony was not lost on me. Graduation day arrived with unusually high May temperatures. I put on my cap and gown, hoping to feel excited about the achievement. My parents arrived separately and sat on opposing ends of the auditorium. My sister stayed home. As I walked across the stage, I thought about her sitting in her room, scrolling through her classmates' Instagram postings about their celebration. Part of me wanted to forego the after-parties and return home, but Jordan had made it obvious that I needed to keep my own life and accomplishments. So, I attended Mason's party. I tried to act normally. However, when someone made a joke about psycho sisters, I fled. I found myself driving home still dressed in my graduation gown. My sister was in the backyard trying to put flowers in Mom's neglected garden. Her physical therapist recommended gardening to improve her neck mobility. She looked up as soon as she heard the gate. "Shouldn't you be celebrating?" she inquired. "Felt like gardening," I remarked, picking up a trowel. We labored quietly, planting marigolds and petunias. The sun blazed down on us, making the scars on her neck gleam with sweat. By the end, we were both filthy and exhausted. "Thanks," she replied simply. That evening, for the first time in months, our entire family ate dinner together without supervision. Dad had arrived home early. Mom had truly cooked. We sat in our normal positions. The vacant chair where Jordan typically sat seemed louder than his presence. "I got into state," I said. "Basketball scholarship, full ride." I'd been holding on to the news for weeks. My parents grinned, the first genuine smiles I had seen from them in months. Even my sister appeared pleased, but something flared behind her eyes. "That's amazing," she exclaimed. "You deserve it." She knocked on my door after dinner. "Can I ask you something?" I allowed her inside. She sat on my bed, picking at a loose thread in my bedspread. "Do you think we'll ever be normal again?" asked the woman. "Our family, I mean." I considered lying, giving her false hope. But we'd gotten past the lovely lies. "I don't know," I replied honestly. "But maybe we can be something different. Maybe better." She nodded, indicating comprehension. We could never have had the relationship because there was too much hurt and history. But maybe we can make something fresh out of the ruins. Evelyn returned one last time the following week. The formal supervisory period was about to finish. We had completed all court obligations. The investigation ended with no criminal charges, only required therapy and supervision. You've all made significant progress, she told the audience. But the real work starts now.